Today, Bitcoin crosses the $44,000 level after this week's crypto rally. Russia might let businesses buy oil with Bitcoin, and Grayscale launches a fund for smart contract platforms. We talked to the CEO about it. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. The crypto market kept this week's gains going. The rally lost a bit of steam this morning, but prices as a whole were about 1% higher by noon Eastern. Bitcoin held its ground above $44,000. Ether prices continued to rise as well, but not everything ended up in the green. Cardano's ADA token lost nearly 5% in the past 24 hours. That network is part of Grayscale's new smart contract platform fund, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But first, let's check in with Crypto World's Tanea McKeel on what is moving crypto prices.
Bitcoin is on the verge of a major breakout with the price on course to test the $45,000 level. That's been a strong resistance level since mid-January. The market focus has been on Ukraine and the Federal Reserve for some time now, as we often discuss here. But there were several positive developments this week that could be bullish for Bitcoin. Goldman Sachs executed its first over-the-counter crypto trade. The investment bank Cowen established a crypto division, and that makes it the first on Wall Street to offer clients the ability to trade spot. Ray Dalio's Bridgewater hedge fund even is about to make an investment into a crypto fund. These are all signs of deeper institutional liquidity entering the market. The upper price target in the short term will be between $48,000 and $50,000. My sources say that $50K is a key psychological level for Bitcoiners. If the price fails to test $45K resistance, it could go into a short-term correction phase and then decline down to $42K. Ether, meanwhile, has broken out above $3,000. Sources say they see upside resistance near $3,500, and if the markets stay risk on, that level could extend to $38.25.
All right, so let's talk about some of the top stories in crypto. Russia's oil and gas industry might turn to Bitcoin payments to combat sweeping sanctions. In a news conference yesterday, the chair of Russia's Duma Committee on Energy said that Russia will be flexible on payments from friendly countries like Turkey and China. Now, he specifically mentioned the Chinese yuan and Bitcoin as alternative currencies. The chair also doubled down on Vladimir Putin's promise that unfriendly countries would have to pay in rubles. You can read that full story over on CNBC.com. Next, Bloomberg analysts think a Bitcoin spot ETF could happen within the next year, and a proposed rule change at the SEC could help. The agency wants to expand the definition of an exchange, and that would mean that some crypto platforms would have to register with the SEC. Analysts at Bloomberg say that rule change could be key to bringing a spot ETF to the US. A number of crypto-related funds have taken off in recent weeks, and Grayscale just launched another. The Smart Contracts X Ethereum Fund gets its value from the price of coins like Cardano's ADA token, which we mentioned earlier, and Solana. Crypto World's Tanea McKeel spoke to Grayscale Investments CEO Michael Sonnenshein about the new fund and how it differs from investing directly in these tokens.
Grayscale launched this smart contract platform fund this week. It's the third from Grayscale. Tell us about it.
So I think what we've come to identify at Grayscale is that investors are really seeking diversification within their crypto holdings. And we've seen a lot of interest in getting exposure to smart contract platforms. For those of you who are less familiar with this, smart contracts really are computer programs or digital contracts that are embedded on the blockchain, and they automatically run when certain conditions are met. Now, many people are familiar with Ethereum, whose code base allows for smart contract functionality. But what we've now seen is the emergence of a whole new set of smart contract platforms that are really trying to either support or supplant that existing infrastructure, or who are challenging it completely. So the new fund we launch is actually a market cap weighted basket of some of the leading smart contract platforms, and it really is the first of its kind. And the investor reception so far has been really exciting.
So what's in it? Give us some specific tokens and tell us about the weightings and how you chose those.
Yeah, so similar to the other diversified vehicles we have at Grayscale, we've pursued a market cap weighting methodology. So some of the holdings are Cardano, Solana, Polygon, and also similar to our other products, we actually benchmark against an index. So in this case, it's benchmarked against the CoinDesk Smart Contract Platform Index, which the fund will continue to track.
And why not include Ether?
Well, many investors have already, in a lot of cases, established those kind of core positions, either in Bitcoin or in Ethereum. And so we really purposely went to establish this fund excluding Ethereum so that as investors gained further exposure to the smart contract platform ecosystem, they weren't doubling up on their exposure to Ethereum, but instead looking at and having exposure to some of the platforms that may be actually competing with or, again, supporting the existing infrastructure.
Last year, the rise of the Ethereum alternatives, these smart contracts that you've included in this fund, they were really all the rage. And I think that everybody this year has been a little bit distracted. There was a huge market sell-off at the beginning of the year. There's now this war in Ukraine. But the last thing I remember reporting before the year ended, was the idea that Bitcoin is no longer leading in terms of market dominance. There are all of these different breakout categories, and this was one of them. The tokens themselves are still significantly down from their highs last year. I know that that's a broader market trend that's not specific to these smart contract platforms, but what exactly are you hearing from clients about their interest, even with these prices that are still under pressure?
Well, I think there's a general appreciation, of course, that the asset class is here to stay. And importantly, as the asset class has grown, investors are really starting to glom onto these different thematic categories within the crypto asset class. So whether that's, metaverse and gaming tokens, or in this case, smart contract platforms and the protocols supporting that development, these are each different themes that investors can actually action. And as they build out a portfolio, they're paying attention to the weightings that they actually do have in each of these different sectors or themes of the asset class itself.
Can you tell us about the fee structure for the fund?
Yeah, the fees on the Grayscale Smart Contract Platform Fund are 2.5%. There's no upfront fees or back-end fees or performance fees, which is in line with what you see for many of the other diversified products on the market.
How does the cost of this fund vary from what people might pay should they decide to directly purchase and hold the tokens as well?
Well, one of the interesting things about being able to make that singular investment in a fund like this is that it actually negates the need for you as an investor to have to actually go out and buy each of these individual tokens yourselves and either establish the weightings on your own or be responsible for reweighting or rebalancing them each quarter the way that the fund does itself. So it's tough to say exactly what an investor's direct cost may be, but certainly investors diversifying their portfolios will certainly find an ease of use and access by making a singular investment and then having that broad-based exposure.
Reading a little bit of the fine print, I know it says there are no redemptions allowed right now, and I don't know if that's just because it's so new, but can you just clarify that line about no redemptions allowed?
Well, at Grayscale, we follow a very prescribed 4-step life cycle around each of our products. And so over time, although most, if not all of our products were launched as private placements, we seek to obtain a public quotation for those shares. So as you've seen with other products like the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust and others, they're now also traded on the public markets using a ticker symbol. So those investors who participate in the private placement of the smart contract fund, we will work to obtain a quotation for these shares. And that's how investors obtain liquidity versus a traditional redemption program.
Okay, before we go, here's one last thing. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen spoke to Squawk Box's Andrew Ross Sorkin about crypto this morning and took a surprisingly positive tone. Here's what she said.
I have a little bit of skepticism because there are, I think, valid concerns around it. On the other hand, there are benefits from crypto, and we recognize that innovation in the payment system can be a healthy thing.
That's a wrap on Crypto World for this week, but we will be back on Monday with more, and we will see you then.